What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spread the Positive podcast. I am your host, Trent Denson, founder of Spread the Positive and STP Productions, where our mission is to bring light to what's going right and to showcase and facilitate efforts that are making a positive impact in our local communities and beyond. Be sure to check us out, spreadthepositive.net. And also, if you're looking to get involved with the STP Podcast Network, please reach out and just check out all the amazing shows that are on the network. We continue to grow. We continue to build. Be part of the solution. Be part of what's going right. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the Spread the Positive podcast. I am your host, Trent Denson. Got a really special show for us today. We are talking about the 100 Men Who Care chapter here in Rutherford County and the origin story that involves the 100 Women Who Care chapter here in Rutherford County. Got my good friend Becky Lanham here. Hello. An OG, one of the early episodes of the STP.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the plastic table and
USB microphones.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Man, I was, and it's one of my favorite episodes to date still. I remember that conversation really well, and it was it's awesome. So it's great to have you back.
It's great to be here.
Way overdue to be. I've been kicking around the idea of doing a revisit series with a lot of folks that have come through on the earlier episodes to kind of get the full effect here with the new and improved studio and the quality and everything. But without further ado, Mr. Wes Hall, how are you?
Just fine.
Yeah. A founding member of the 100 Men Who Care here in Rutherford County. So let's just get into it. I do like to take it back just a little bit for the folks that may not know who either one of y'all are. If y'all can just give us like a quick little overview. Let's go ladies first here, obviously.
Sure.
Quick little overview. Becky in the borough.
Yeah.
Go get them real quick.
Absolutely. So, here in Rutherford County, I'm very involved with a lot of nonprofits. I'm a member of the Kiwanis Foundation, Kiwanis Club of Murfreesboro. I've been doing that since I was really in high school as a key club. Then I founded the Circle K at MTSU and then got involved in Kiwanis right away, which plugged me in with a lot of nonprofits. And then for about 8 years, I ran Volunteer Rutherford up until COVID hit. And then so much changed in the volunteer world. And so that kind of shifted my focus on that a lot. And so I started doing a lot more hands-on stuff in the community.
Talk about that real quick. Can we bring that back? Is that something to bring back? Should we even get into it? Sorry, that's a little off the mic talk.
I've had that conversation with a company. I don't have the web skills to do it.
Okay.
But if somebody wanted to revisit it with me, I would certainly. I've still got the Facebook page. We got 8,000 followers. Every time I post something on it,
get some engagement.
Yeah, it does. So it's definitely something the community needed.
Right.
And so I've actually got the site forwarding right now to the United Way. They do have a great volunteer page over there, and so the United Way has been kind of fielding all of that.
That's awesome.
That traffic. So
that's good. Yeah. Good improvision. That's amazing. Yeah. And to say you're involved is such an understatement. You do so much and just a legend around here, and a big heart and definitely a servant's heart. And it's always awesome to see all the stuff that you're up to. So appreciate you and all the great stuff you do. Quick, tell us about how you're involved with the 100 Women Who Care chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. So the chapter started about 2 years ago. I actually had talked with Katie Hall. Nikki Sasser was a good friend of mine who I was a diplomat with, and she had talked about how Katie was telling her about the organization. I was like, that's definitely something I would want to be a part of.
Right.
And so I said, as soon as y'all have it going, I'm on board. And so I was on board from the first meeting.
Love
and we've been doing it for 2 years now.
That's awesome. Yeah. Who else were some of the founding members? Shout them out.
Alicia Stakura, Missy Lay. Gosh,
I remember presenting.
It's been 2 years. Gosh,
I know.
I don't want to be quoted as knowing that. Katie Hall.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yes. You don't need to forget that one. You'll be in trouble.
I didn't forget you.
I never forget you. I love it. All right. Well, that's amazing, and that's a great segue. So, Wes, let's hear a quick backstory on you and just kind of what led to 100 Men Who Care.
So, kind of the servant's heart. We're led to be the hands and feet, and Katie and I had both donated here and there.
Right.
When I met her many years ago, she was a part of the 100 Women group in Nashville, and then we were at an Athena Award. So I reached out to some folks, and I'm like, I've never done this before. How do you do that? you just do it, right? And so so one of the guys that I reached out to, one of the other founding members, Scott Steibel.
Shouts to Scott.
Yeah, so he's a great man. And I walked into his office, and you know, we know each other kind of in passing, and I knew his wife sang with her in choir. But anyhow, walked into his office and said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And so he said, yeah, come on. So I go into his office and I sit down. And he said, do we need to close the door? And I'm like, no, it's not that serious. It's not that bad. I mean,
I was going to say, we don't have that good of a story.
I was like, wow, man.
This got weird quick.
But then I just mentioned to him, I said, hey, the ladies are doing this group, 100 Women Who Care, Rutherford County. I wanted to start a men's chapter or men's group and do that. And like before I even got that out of my mouth, it's like, absolutely, let's do it. I love that. I'm like, sweet. So it was.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's make it happen. And so he's like, where? Just like, you know, we're ready to like run through the door and like break down walls. And so it started from there. And there were several men that I'd ask, you know, just again, how does it start? You got to ask people. And so that's the biggest thing, is just making that ask. You know, there's Matt Burton, you know, Tim Kendrick, as well as Trent Messick, you know, are some of the founding people that we've had here, and a lot of the folks that have responded have been absolutely like, when you mention that, they're like, absolutely, I want to do that. So, you know, the good thing about the men's and women's group is that, you know, if you have a household that has a male and female represented in that, you know, it's $100 a quarter. So we alternate. So the men's group is alternating with the women's group as far as like, you know, which month. So, you know, also for us right now, childcare. I get to hold the baby for the next little minute. So that's how it all got started. And I volunteered a little bit here and there, but this has opened my eyes to the Rutherford County community and what is out there. I've part of the Chamber of Diplomats with Becky, and Katie was as well before, but through these other people that I've met and finding out about all these nonprofits and how these folks are plugged in. I mean, so they may not be in 100 women, 100 men, you know, but they're in it. Yeah. They're out there
doing the work for sure.
Doing the work. And that's important because nonprofits historically do not have the funding that they desperately need. Right. And it's a hard ask. And, you know, Katie was a development director for many years through a couple of nonprofits. And it's not an easy thing to do. You know, grant writing is an important part of nonprofit world too. So,
I love it. So, talk to us about how it works. I'm a little bit familiar, but some details, just how it breaks down and all that. So, take it away.
So the idea of 100, who cares, is to get 100 people in a room. You sit down, you listen to presentations from 3 nonprofits that have needs, and then you vote.
That's awesome.
Democracy wins.
I love that.
Everybody writes a $100 check, $10,000. Wow. Just like that to a nonprofit. It's sick. A huge deal.
Yeah, it really
is.
I
mean, that can really make a huge difference. And so that's the idea behind it. Now, we haven't gotten to 100 members yet, but we're getting close. The women's chapter over the last 2 years has given over $61,000 in Rutherford County.
That's incredible.
Over 10 organizations that we've given to. So, I mean, it really does have a big impact. And it's not just, you know, at the meetings. I don't know. I haven't been to one of the men's meetings, but it's also a great way to network with other people who are like-minded, you know. Wes and I were talking about the diplomats. We tend to have the same circles that we run in, but I have met so many people through this organization that were, you know, just saw it on Instagram or Facebook, and they're like, I thought this was such a great concept and a great way to learn about the nonprofits, because, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many nonprofits that you didn't know existed. I mean, when I started Volunteer Rutherford back in 2013, I had over 150 nonprofits register with my website that gave services in Rutherford County. Wow. And you'd have, you know, I mean, that's crazy.
When was it?
2013. Wow. So, I mean, here we are 10 years later, post-COVID. Now, I'm sure it's cut down, you know, a lot. After COVID, a lot of those went away. But it's interesting because you'll have people come into a room representing different organizations that didn't even know that other organizations existed or did similar things that they could be giving referrals to. So not only are we, you know, giving this amazing gift of, you know, a financial gift, but we're making connections for those organizations and for the individuals in the room who might be like, wow, I would really love to volunteer or get more involved there. And you just never know, that one person could end up making a huge difference.
Massive difference.
But, you know, because, I mean, heck, the volunteer hours, Katie probably has more numbers on this, you know, what volunteer hours can do for a nonprofit in, you know, labor.
That's what I mean, they survive on that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of. I mean,
Yeah.
Most of them.
It's huge, and I mean, and you know, to her point about the whole networking piece, because when I first kind of kicked off the first meeting for the guys, probably the first couple of meetings, it was very strict and regimented, because the thing that I'd heard from people often is like, I just don't have time, and I broke it down like this: it's 8 hours out of your life in a year. Certainly, you can make time for that.
Right.
I've had people that I've talked to that are like, you know what, I'm involved with another nonprofit. By all means, that is great.
Yep,
This is
great
why
news.
would you not go sit down with 10, 50, 100 people that want to give you money?
Yeah.
Why would you
Right.
not want to do that? So it only makes sense. And the idea is that, you know, you're in it for the right reason and not just to get your check for the nonprofit that you want and then go on. I mean, that's
Right.
really not the heart of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the networking piece that, you know, what I've enjoyed, and we have a variety of people that are represented in our group as well. I mean, we've got everything from landscapers, you know, building contractors, you know, commercial residential. I'm a commercial roofer.
Yep.
You know, then we've got a pastor, insurance agencies, CPAs, and so one of our last meetings, a couple of the CPAs that like he was trying to get together with another CPA, and boom, there was that connection. So we have about an hour networking piece at the front end of this. So we meet from 6 to 8, and so 6 o'clock we sit down and we kind of let everybody kind of filter in, and then 7 o'clock we get down to business. And again, a lot of what we've done for the men has been plagiarized from the women. We just changed the color.
It's a great idea.
So it helps.
So that's probably the most efficient way to do it.
Oh,
So.
I mean, and you know, I mean, and Katie's an honorary member of the 100 Men just because
Right.
she is actually, you know, put together a lot of things. But it's really easy. I mean, we make it easy because, you know, if you don't have a check, you know, it's all, you know, QR code. You
Venmo,
QR code
yeah,
to
sure.
scan it. You scan the code to select who's going to vote or which nonprofits are going to be voted on. You vote on those. It's a blind vote, and then it's like, okay, hey, you know, this last quarter, Endure Athletics is going to be receiving the monies, you know, from this quarter's giving circle, and then we give them a little bit of time for those people that weren't, you know, ready right then and there. You know, give it a week or so just to kind of get more monies in, because actually, like we presented him with, it was $2,197.50, and it was actually increased.
Processing fee.
Well, yeah, processing fee, but it was actually increased by $200 because somebody brought a check.
Nice.
So, so that way, that was kind of cool because again, it was, you know, almost $2,300 that we.
Yeah.
Actually $2,400 if my math's right. So that's really cool. Actually, that's the most money that we've given to date.
Nice.
And you know, because it's a volunteer effort, and I'm sure Becky and them have seen this. I think they have 70 plus women on the roster. We have about 26 or 27. There might be about 10 to 12 that show up.
Yeah.
And the goal is to kind of grow that because I hear people, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to invite somebody, but it's just, you know, come on down, man. So
Yeah.
we're going to be at Champies.
I was about to say, yeah, go ahead and plug away how people can get involved and stuff.
Yeah, so the men's group we meet once a quarter, and so we're going to meet on the 16th of May at Champies. We already have
It's like
the rest.
next week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. It's like the
Today's
third.
the first. Okay.
Yeah, it's the third Tuesday of once a quarter every 3 months. So
Okay.
So May the 16th at Champies from 6 to 8.
Nice.
We're going to be out with the common folks. We aren't going to be in the back room this
Right.
time. But because we
Common what?
the restaurant
gosh.
patrons.
That's
we
me.
had the VIP.
It's hilarious.
Well, maybe some people will stumble in and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" It's like, "Hey, you got $500? Come on, bring it on."
What? Back to
$10,000.
Peasant or
Boom.
not.
Let's go in the back room.
Yeah,
I'll show you what we're doing.
Exactly.
That's
so
really
I didn't get in touch with Champions soon enough. They've been great to make that space available for pretty much anybody. So a big plug to them. But we're gonna go in there and have our meeting and hopefully have you know, people bring somebody. We keep saying, hey, everybody bring 2 people, and
Yeah.
so we still have the same folks. So.
Hey,
But
it's start somewhere.
it's a season, and we've
Right.
had people that have come in that have said for a long time that they were going to do it, and then they finally get a chance to do it, and they're like, man, why haven't I done that? Because I think you know, there's so many things that a lot of us do as a networking thing. Hey, I'm going to go do this networking thing, business after hours or whatever. This is something like that. Once a quarter, again, like-minded people that, you know, have their hand, you know, ready to give some money to these nonprofits. And the challenge that I'm going to throw out there, and I have, but I haven't had anybody follow up on it yet, is that if there's an individual or a nonprofit, individual or a business that would like to match what we do, we're not to 100 yet. But guess what? that you know,
That'll help.
$2,400, $4,800. So that's the challenge we're going to throw out to anybody, an individual or business that wants to do that. You know, again, you know, you could be anonymous or you could be front page. I don't care. But I think it's important because there are people that, I mean, that are out there giving actively.
Yeah.
They're just not plugged into these organizations. So again, not asking people to change what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Just try, because at the same time, you know, if they believe in what we're doing, you know, if they only had $5,000 or $2,000 to give, they're able to double that there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the things that's been on my heart for a while.
Okay.
And so I've probably need to start approaching some businesses and asking them about it. Like, hey,
asking for the money.
Yeah, show me the money.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Remember, that's
all you got to do.
Just
do
it
it.
It's
Just do it. You know,
easy little words.
it's something, you know, Wes said, people saying they don't have time. Well, even if they can't make time, they can still give.
Right.
You know, and people want to give, and I promise, we're a good group, y'all. We'll make good decisions with the money.
Right.
So you just give it. Just send it to
There's
me.
no
Let me give you my address. Let me give you my Venmo. No. But we actually, I think the guys have it set up too. The ladies, we've got a page set up where we can just give automatically through ACH, and so mine just drafts out every quarter. And so if I miss a meeting, it doesn't matter. They still get the money.
So is it $100 a quarter?
It's $100 a quarter. Okay. So that money goes in, and then it's just the people who are at the meeting get to vote. So if you're not at the meeting, you don't get the input into who it is. And I'll give a little more intel into how the meetings, you know, run for us at least, and the process of selecting. First of all, the women, we get in and out in an hour and a half. So I'm not sure what y'all are. I'm not sure what y'all are doing over there. And we also
lazy.
get in snacks and wine. So
wow.
So we're currently meeting at the warehouse.
Nice.
And
heard of that place.
Plug
away. Give a little plug.
Yeah, the warehouse. So that's where we did our first podcast together back in the day. So when I'm not giving everything away, as my husband always says, I tend to give all our stuff away. But when I'm not doing that, we are working, or he's working anyway, at our event venue, the warehouse. We're over on Middle Tennessee Boulevard, corner of Middle Tennessee and Park Avenue. Been there about 13 years. Yeah, and thank you. And then of course now we have the Remington Room too, named after Remy, which I should have brought him. I wasn't sure. He could have sat over there next to you, and he would have too. He would have just literally sat there. I really
wish that happened. Next time.
But that's where we meet, and so we get together. I think usually about 5:30, and we'll do a networking activity. Missy Lay with Wild Goose Chase Events. We'll do some kind of a fun activity. So we'll do some kind of socializing. We'll have some snacks and wine, and then we'll sit down and we'll do the presentations. And so the cool thing about the presentations is the members get to nominate. It's not like just like the officers pick or random organizations are submitting requests for money. It's the organizations that we care about.
I love that.
And what's really unique is the members have to get up and present on behalf of the organization.
Cool.
So we might not know every fact and figure about where the money, the percentages, but we're able to tell why we support it. So we're with our peers and we're talking about why an organization has touched our heart, and we're trying to convey that to the rest of the room.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so sometimes that gives a different perspective on those organizations because it's coming from someone who, isn't seeing it as an employee or, and how it's touched us. And so that's a really unique thing about the organization, that it is all voted on, or people are submitted within the organization and then we present it ourselves.
That's cool.
Yeah, because if you have the ringer of a nonprofit showing up, like the executive director or something, then that's not really fair.
Right.
Now,
big old PowerPoint.
Yeah, big old PowerPoint present, because that's what they do.
Day,
they do it every day.
Cry,
Exactly.
The videos and the pictures.
It's that enduro one. It'll get me every time for sure.
Well, but in this scenario, Joel spoke about endure. Wow.
Yeah, so you can be the executive director and do it if you're a member. So
smart.
And there's no cost for membership other than $400 a year.
Yeah.
And
so the donation. So, but one of the things that Becky mentioned, because people are like, well, how do I write a check? How do I do this? How do I do that? We use an app called Grapevine. So Grapevine, you go in there and you get yourself set up on Grapevine. You can have it automatically drafted. I have that as well, where it automatically comes out every quarter. So if I miss, then it's there.
Right.
But then also individuals can go in there and they can do that. It can also give you a receipt at the end of the year for an organization that is volunteer in nature. We don't have to maintain a bank account. You don't have to worry about like, hey, well, where did these funds go?
Right.
No, you don't write a check to me. You don't write a check to Becky or any of
And
the
that's
women.
all through Grapevine? Do
All
y'all do
through
that
Grapevine.
too?
We do.
That's awesome.
Like I said,
didn't know
everything
that.
came from the ladies. So
Yeah.
Grapevine, the grapevine.org
Follow
app.
the lead, right?
Yeah. And so it's worked out really good because, I mean, I've got a little sheet right
That's
here
really
that
cool.
shows, you know, the stuff that we did. I mean, the ladies have done a ton, but, I mean, we've got, so in the 6 organizations that we've donated to, let's see, I'll name them out. We've got Endure Athletics, we've got the Murfreesboro Rescue Mission,
Nice.
Greenhouse Ministries, Renewed Life Ministry Outreach, the Soldier's Child Foundation, and
go.
the first one was Isaiah 117 House.
That's amazing.
And so $9,797.50, the processing fee, was donated to those organizations.
So
and,
cool.
And that doesn't mean that people, aside from this, maybe did not, you know, provide some funds themselves. Like, hey, I want to give an extra $100 here. Or they want to set up something where they do something automatically to that organization. But again, like she said, that having the people speak on behalf of that nonprofit, like, here's why my $100, I want it to go to this place,
Right.
and this is the reason why.
It's powerful.
But here's also, you know, what these people do, and or here's what they're going to use these monies for.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, you know what? Like, I think when Renewed Life was coming up, they were needing some help with their truck or their van.
Right.
So they either were going to buy one, and this was going to go towards those funds. So, you know, knowing that need, you know, it gives a little bit more skin in the game as opposed to, hey, we're just donating randomly,
Right.
you know, to their general fund.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
And things can come back around too. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe every 3 years. Or what, I'm not sure what
we
it
haven't
is.
reached that yet.
Yeah, I forget exactly.
The newbies over
Yeah,
here.
the
Yeah,
newbies.
anyway, there is a time period where people can go back in the bucket. So
Oh,
you know,
nice. Okay.
You know, I'm not sure if it's 3 years or what I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the paperwork on that says. But you know, it's not like you get it once and that's it. It could be
Cool.
it may be 3 years or there's some time that must pass. But
Mm-hmm.
an organization could get the money again.
That's
So you know, I've got the list here as well. From our handy dandy Instagram, where I pulled that from. So our Instagram is great. I'm not sure who runs it, but they're amazing,
Yep.
and they do a great job with it. And they'll get all the check presentations. But you know, in the last 2 years, the 10 organizations we've given to Stepping Stones, Safe
Nice.
Haven, Doors of Hope, the Domestic Violence Center, Insight Counseling, Endure Athletics. Journeys in Community Living, Nourish Food Bank, Read to Succeed, Amelia's Closet, and then the next check presentation is to A Step Ahead.
Nice.
And so we've really, you know, got a lot of variety in the different kinds of organizations we've been given to. And something else that we do at our meetings that you all might want to start thinking about doing if you haven't yet.
Wine and cheese.
Right.
Wine and cheese. Wine and cheese.
Well, that
Way
too.
past that.
Well, I
Hour
think,
and a half.
Well, y'all are smart though. Right now, you're a small enough group you can meet at a restaurant. Y'all can meet at a restaurant.
But I
so
heard somebody mention the warehouse before to me and
Yeah.
said, hey, maybe, you know.
you could meet there.
Yeah.
I may know a girl, so
knows-
I'll
people
put
know
you.
people.
I'll put you in touch.
Put us in the back alley. Say, hey, guys. We're not inside the warehouse. We're behind the
Behind
warehouse.
I'll set
Down
up
by the
a-
river.
I'll set up a tent. It'll be fine if it rains. But we actually will have collection drives.
Okay.
So one time we collected shoes for an organization. One
Nice.
time we collected cans for an organization. One time we collected school supplies for an organization. So that way it also gives people something else. Or if there's someone who's visiting, because we welcome people to come visit. And if you don't want to, you know, give right away and you want to make sure it's something you want to be a part of, that's fine.
Yeah.
You just can't vote. You have to be a paying member to vote, but you can come. So by having those membership or those drives for items, that gives someone away for less than $100 to
Right.
maybe pick up a $15, $20 pair of shoes or a bag of
Nice.
school supplies. So they can still give and be involved in the group, but they don't have to commit the first time that they're visiting. But it gives them a way to be involved if they do want to on a smaller scale.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because the volunteer effort, I mean, I still remember I did some bike rides for MS back in the day, and they had this one guy, he was kind of our escort for, you know, on motorcycles. And so he had this thing that said, don't yell at me, I'm a volunteer.
Right.
So this is absolutely,
That's smart.
yeah, I loved it. I was like, because the dude was wearing Hawaiian shirts, and like, I had, don't yell at me, I'm a volunteer. He's a big dude. He could handle himself, but people would yell at him. I'm like, really? This is ridiculous. Like, you know, thank you for keeping people from running me over on my bicycle.
Right.
But, you know, it is absolutely a volunteer effort. So, you know, people can go and come if they please. You know, the idea is that, you know, you just are accountable. You are true to your word. If you say that you're going to do it, do it. Don't just come and be a part of the cheese and wine. And even if you said that you were going to give and then not. I mean, obviously, you know, it is a democracy in the sense that how do we vote on these things? Because I've had people ask about, well, what if I don't believe in that? Well, we can't hold your feet to the fire that you do that, because if your heart is not in that, like you just totally disagree with it, then guess what? Then that's your choice. But the goal is that people come, they donate, and then rinse and repeat. Let's do it again the next quarter.
And honestly, our wine and the cheese, it's not like expensive stuff. It's like from Kroger, so I don't think people would come just for that. But
they might.
Maybe someday we'll step it up and
get some Corbett Canyon.
Gourmet.
No, that's awesome. Let's hear some success or just some feel good stories. Y'all got like a go to story that comes to mind that like just went overly well?
Well, it's funny. I'll tell a story from an organization that actually has not won yet.
Yeah.
It's been presented twice, and I've been shot down.
Sounds like somebody needs to practice.
I know. I'm apparently not very good with this. My speaking skills are horrible.
I don't believe you.
But anyway, actually, the first time I presented, we were on Zoom. It was during COVID.
Oh,
So
wow.
we still weren't meeting in person, so I had to do a presentation on Zoom. I was so nervous, and then I didn't win, and then I got really sad.
Oh, man.
But I actually, that's the one thing about it, though, given the presentations, having that story.
Yeah.
And so I actually presented on Candle Wishes.
Okay.
So the Candle Wishes Foundation, which I'm going to do it again. I
Let's
told
go.
them I'm doing it again. I'm going to win one of these days. But I've been involved with the Candle Wishes Foundation for a long time, probably 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
And, I've gone to a lot of the parties. For those that don't know what Candle Wishes is, it's an organization that does birthday parties for underprivileged children.
Oh,
so
man.
if you think about it, when you were a kid, when I was a kid, our parents, we had pool parties, we had Chuck E. Cheese parties,
Right.
we had all this. Well, all kids don't have that, And so what Candle Wishes does is it creates those birthday memories for children. So not only do they get a party that's sponsored, but they also get a bag of gifts. And sponsoring one child, it can cost now with prices about $150 a child to get them, because you want to get them, their needs,
Right.
Your needs, clothing, underwear, socks, things like that. But you also want to get them some toys, and
Right.
some, it's their birthday. That's
Right.
the whole idea.
100%, yeah.
And so going to those parties, I'll never forget. There was one older lady, and she had 2 kids with her. And she came up to Jenny Williams, who's the executive director, and she just started crying. And she said, I'm trying to remember, her daughter had either gone to jail. Something had happened to where she was having to care for these children, and she was an elderly woman. And she said, there is no way that I could provide for, these children. I've been put in this situation, and it's not fair to them. And she was talking about how much it meant to her to be able to bring them to this party, and what it meant for her to feel like she was being successful through the organization. And, because, she was just put there, and she wasn't expecting to be raising, toddlers when she
Right.
was in her late 60s. So it was really touching when that happened. And those things, when you're doing charity work, you always see bad stuff too.
Yeah.
You'll see stuff and you'll get jaded. But then when those moments hit and you see that things really, really touch somebody's heart, and it
could
makes
change
a
everything,
difference. Yeah.
For one of those kids, or even a kid that was at the party. Obviously, for her, it made, that's, yes.
Yeah.
What's going right? I love it.
Yeah.
That's what's going right for sure. You got a good
well,
one?
as far as, I'd love to say yes, but they've all been pretty much cut and dry. Like, you go there, you do this, you do that.
A little less touchy-feely.
But at the same time, I in my older age, it seems like I cried everything.
Yeah.
I haven't yet cried at a check presentation, but that's yet.
It's on deck, probably.
It's coming. It'll be the next one for sure.
No
but
shame in that game.
it is something that as far as like the nonprofits, they're very appreciative. The ones that we presented to, and very welcoming. And I remember here recently, met with Ed Grimes with Murfreesboro Rescue Mission, and we presented him the check, and he showed us around the space, and I was like, this is really cool. It's like a hidden gem. I was like, wow, man. It's like, this is not what I expected. But then they also have the property next to him. I believe he said that they now own that property.
Yeah.
So they're going to be able to expand on that, and they're going to have, a lot of additional housing capabilities for people in the future once that's all done. So, so that was exciting. And I'm trying to look here, just thinking of some of the others. They've, we still have people that are in our group that, have a nonprofit, like, I won't name them, but the nonprofit, I said, hey, why don't you nominate the nonprofit? He's like, I'm waiting till we get to 10,000. And I said, I love that.
You can get
That's
back
smart.
in though.
Yeah.
No, but he can get back in. But it's I love that because it's like, what that said to me in that moment is that he's more about others than he is himself.
Yeah.
And the organization that he represents. So, but at the same time, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what?
Get the
You've
money.
been, wait, because again, to Becky's point, you can go in and, resubmit after some time. We try to, there's many nonprofits, so trying to give as many of those a chance to, to come in as possible. And again, that the members vote, nominate these things. Not everybody's good at public speaking. But again, you don't bring in the executive director or the development director or somebody. You bring in you as an individual. You don't bring the Sally Struthers or whoever it is with like the puppy crying or little kids or whatever.
The puppies will get you every time.
Yeah, see,
Let's not get puppies
I
crying.
need Remy in my presentation.
There you go. You just have Remy up there, sitting up there, just
I
just
like
like
Candle wishes.
With a little birthday
Yeah.
hat.
And blow out a
Yes.
I
Or win.
Now you're
and Remy will eat the cake. Remy's like, I'm all about
Yes,
this.
Oh,
this
he
sounds
would-
like a
he would love the
great win-win-win.
And there's another. I've heard this from a lot of different organizations, but the coolest thing about telling the success of an organization is when people who have been, and you mentioned this a little bit, people who have been a recipient from an organization, when they come back and give.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I know I believe it was the domestic violence shelter had told that story. A lady who had gone through, there was an abuse situation and came in for help, and they helped her get back on her feet, get a job, and then she came back and started volunteering. And
so cool.
Yeah, so those are the stories that really.
The full circle moments.
Yeah.
How can people help? How can I help? What can we do?
Well,
Finding-
just getting the
finding
word
members?
out and finding members.
Okay.
The more people, the more money, and the bigger
Right.
impact that we can make. So our next date, I know that Wes mentioned his is coming up in 2 weeks. Our next one is July the 10th. So
Okay.
we meet on Monday nights at the warehouse, and then October 16th will be our last one for the year.
Nice.
But all that'll be on our Instagram page. So if people can just get onto Instagram and look for 100 Women Who Care RC.
Yep.
Or on the
Same.
Facebook.
Well, I mean, for the guys, we have this. It's called Facebook. It's old. It's way
Really
old,
old.
antiquated. I think it's a DOS-based system, is what it is. But it's the Facebook. I think it's
the
the
Facebook.
Facebook.
Drop the
It's the Facebook.
Yep.
So
kept
we
it.
have a
I'm bringing
Facebook page. We have a Facebook page.
Nice.
And that's about the extent of it. And so yes, you can go to that page. And again, get connected with us that way. Because really the biggest thing is just trying to know who to contact, right? So the ladies have a roster, the men have a roster. So what I ask people is they'll send me an email, or they'll say, hey, I'd like to know more about it. So I'll send an email, just kind of a canned email. Here's what we do. We meet once a quarter. Everybody bring $100.
Nice.
Nominate 3 nonprofits. We vote. The winner of the vote gets the proceeds from that evening's event,
Yes.
possibly $10,000.
Yeah.
And so, but there is a thing that there's a couple things. Again, it's the registering on the roster so we know who the heck to contact. So we're not like, oh, wow, I don't know why we don't have 3 people on a roster. No, we have like 28, 29. So having them go through and register, go and look also on a link to, for nonprofits that they would like to consider, nominating and supporting. So that way we have a pool of nonprofits to vet and look through, because the nonprofits have to be around at least for 2 years, have to be a 501c3. So, I couldn't just, as I say, start a Wes's House of Fun.
Right.
And like, oh yeah, go ahead, guys,
Yeah,
give
we
it to my
definitely
party.
have a very good vetting process.
Right.
We've got Rhonda, I think, in our club does that, goes through and makes sure, looks at the financials and asks, there's a lot of information that they have to get. So if I wanted to nominate someone, they would then have to contact that organization and get a list of information to verify before
Right.
they'll even let us do a presentation. So it's not just
Yeah.
any,
Well, and
haphazard.
Grapevine also does a good in that way, because they if it's a nonprofit, you have to provide the EIN number. You have,
Right.
you have to provide that number. And if there's ever been an issue they can't verify, they're verifying it before they release those funds.
Nice.
So we can have those funds go to XYZ, but if we don't have the documentation to back that up, they're not going to release the funds. So that's a good checks and balances, for us as an organization, because again, it's very transparent what we do. It's very simple what we do. It's just a matter of getting, men and women involved, so that they can, also make an impact. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is just show up.
That's it.
Show up. And like I said, I'll say it again. If an individual or business wants to whether it be the ladies or the men,
or
wants to, or both. Yeah, come on, match them. I mean, I dare you.
Just do it.
I triple dog dare you.
Hard.
I triple dog dare you.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate that. It's definitely. I did I was just thinking. I did a podcast with someone from I guess it was the Nashville chapter and the Rutherford County chapter back in the day, and they were talking about the origin of the whole thing, and it's so smart and so simple. Yeah. Honestly, it's super streamlined and super simple. Yeah. And it's like very effective, and that's my favorite part about it. I mean, amongst the actual impact and the connections and all the other positive aspects to it. But man, it's really cool just how, I mean, that it doesn't get much easier than that.
Yeah.
Like
well,
just come through quarterly, cut a check, $100.
I think they were called giving circles. And I'll refer to it as a giving circle. But people have a Benjamin breakfast, so they'll do this, they'll do that, and that's great. Or hey, we're going to give to a server, which I was a server. Absolutely, that's awesome because they're making impact. Yep. I mean, but then there's others that are like Brian Sweat. He's a pastor. He's also in our group, and they got the Mechanics on a Mission. They're giving away cars, man.
And I met him the other day.
Yeah,
Did
great
you
dude.
Me?
I think I did.
I think we were at the alley on the way out.
Yep. And so Brian's a great guy, and he was at the check presentation just a couple hours ago. So, but yeah, it is nice. Those organizations that didn't even know about it. And now I do. And he kind of initially came in like I'm not sure, but he's like So all he's in. Like he's all in. He's good with it. So
I love it. Well, y'all be sure to check him out. 100 men and women. Well, 100 men who care, 100 women who care. RC on all the socials and stuff. Like I said, super straightforward, super easy, super in line with the mission here at STP. Bringing light to what's going right and showcasing and facilitating efforts that are making a positive impact in our local communities and beyond. Yes, I've said that a time or two, at least in my head. But that's it though, and that's what it's all about. Really appreciate both of y'all.
Absolutely.
And anything we can do on the STP front, we should probably get some footage of some meetings. We can make some, anything we can do to just kind of like, this is it. This is really easy and it's really impactful, which is what we need.
Yeah.
Just undeniable impact. Like, you can't be mad at this. Please, like, if you find a way to be mad at this, take yourself elsewhere. Man, I'm sick of everything being a problem, especially when it's impactful like this. So appreciate you both. Thank you for coming through. And you got STP in your corner. Anything we can do, here to help.
Well, I mean, you're welcome to come to the one
on
May 16th.
I'll be there.
And you're welcome to go to the ladies, but you have to dress up.
Hey, I feel like that might be a felony.
Only if there's children there. Only if there's children there.
Good Lord. Get a job, our politicians. Anyway, love y'all. Appreciate it. We'll wrap it up. Peace out, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Spread the Positive podcast. For more information about all the things we got going here at Spread the Positive, please check us out, spreadthepositive.net. Get involved with our underwriting, advertising, sponsorship program, start a podcast, or if you just want to support the mission, reach out on spreadthepositive.net or any of our social media handles at Spread the Positive. Look forward to connecting with y'all and giving y'all another fire episode on the next one. Thank you, and we will see you then. Let's go.